out of 10 drives, touchdowns. I'm guessing pretty good day at the office.
Yeah, it was a pretty good performance by the guys, and the biggest thing that I'm really proud of our players is they kind of focused on our process. Eliminating mistakes, trying to play penalty free, trying to play turnover free. Obviously, we had the turnover down in the little red at the goal line that kind of haunts me and cost me a little bit there, but. Really proud of the way they prepared last week, and I think their performance on Saturday was a direct reflection of how they prepared.
Coach Cristobal kind of put it on himself, I guess, the left-handed, the one turnover, just the left-handed snap to Tyler, just happens, I guess, right? I mean,
yeah, those things happen. We practice under center snaps all the time. That's a part of our offense, part of our system. It's not the first time we've done that. We actually get those snaps also in pregame. So some things happen, within the game, and obviously we got that out of the way. So we look forward to obviously correcting those mistakes. But that's not on the kids, not on anyone. Obviously, those things just happen sometimes throughout the game, and look forward to bouncing back from it.
What stood out about your first game coaching Tyler? What stood out about him, Brian?
Tyler just went through his reads the correct way. He really managed the game the right way, and obviously did a great job finding some checkdowns early, which I thought was very, very important. Being able to get the ball to the back when pressure showed in his face, so you saw the poise and leadership of him. But then also rallying guys, throughout the game. Keeping them in the game and keeping them focused. Made some big time throws, obviously on a deep shot to Xavier Restrepo, and so you see Tyler's ability. I mean, you see his leadership. Obviously it's everyone's always put that number out there that he's had to throw for 300 plus for so many games, but Tyler's not focused on any of that. Tyler's focused on winning and leading his team to be as successful as we can be. And when you've got a leader like that, you've got truly a special player on the team.
Restrepo had a big game.
Jake Garcia. You talk about that time, 8 for 8.
Really, really proud of Jake and his performance. And one of the things that Jake really displayed to us was his pocket movement was phenomenal on Saturday. Stepping up in the pocket, moving around. I believe 2 or 3 of his throws, he had someone in his face and made some tough throws. And so to see Jake go out there and execute, I think it goes really far for helping build confidence, obviously not only in himself, but in the players around him. And we truly believe that we've got quarterbacks in our room that can go out and lead us any day of the week in a game scenario.
How about Jakari? He played a little bit, right?
He did. Jakari did, and he did a great job. Obviously, he had an opportunity to get in a little early. Obviously, there was a false start in on the play, but just the growth of that room and what Coach Ponce has done with those guys in that room, really kind of making those guys play all together and collectively has been really fun to see. And each one of those guys has a role on our team. I know, obviously, we've got a star quarterback in Tyler, but our backup quarterbacks in Jake and Jakari, they're preparing to be starters. Their number can be called at any point, and we've got the utmost confidence they can go out and lead us to wins.
Can you talk about Restrepo's performance and who else stood out to you from the receivers?
Yeah, Xavier had another great performance, but it's been a direct reflection of how he's prepared all camp. Every camp, he's a guy that's showing up every day to work. Details, execution, playing at a very high level. So when you practice at a high level, your game performance is going to be at a very high level as well. And so that came as no surprise to me, and obviously it was very rewarding for him, and that goes a long way as far as his confidence as well. You see Keyshawn Smith, the impact that he made shortening the field. I think when you look at the offensive success, it's directly tied to the special team success of our team. The defensive success and special team success. And so when you're starting at plus 50 or you're on the other side of the field, you feel pretty good about as a play caller what you're going to call and the plays you're going to put your players in position to be in. And to see guys like Xavier playing on special teams, Keyshawn Smith playing on special teams, you go on and on. Frank Lanson's playing on special teams. We've got a number of guys that are making contributions, however they can for the team, and that's ultimately how you build the team first.
There were no drops in the game. How big of an accomplishment was that for the guys in your room?
It was huge. When you look at it, I think we finished in day 89 or 88% completion percentage. Obviously, I believe the numbers were 21 to 24. And obviously, those 3 incompletions were throwaways. Great decisions by the quarterbacks to eliminate any type of negative player sacks. And, but that was the expectation kind of going into the game with how those guys had prepared last week. I think we had finally hit our peak the last 2 weeks in practice. And like I said, I always go back to the process. It's a direct reflection of how you practice. And we went for about a week not having any type of drops or anything like that. And so, our players, they understand, man, that they want to perform at a very high level, and they know they've got to practice at a very high level to do that.
Does the coach get any credit for that? Like, what has changed from the first 3 weeks of camp to now to where these guys are catching the ball?
Oh, coach gets zero credit for that. This is a player-driven game now. We've got great kids, great players, and the only thing that we get on the coach's side is we get tremendous gratification and pride in going out and seeing our guys being able to be successful. It's great for them. It's great for the families. Obviously, it's great for Miami football and the brand that we have. And so we've got good players. We've got talented players, and we expect those players to be talented players in game-like scenarios. And Saturday was the day that they showed up and they did deliver.
You mentioned Keyshawn on special teams, but in terms of like the offense and passing game, wasn't involved much. I guess why did it work out that way, and is getting him more involved this week kind of a point?
Yeah, that's a great question. Just unfortunate that it didn't happen that way. We took some shots early. Obviously, the ball didn't go his way on times where we kind of felt we could have had some advantageous looks to get him the ball. The ball was successfully completed to other players, and so sometimes that happens. And then obviously, once you get a lead, right, you're not throwing certain plays. But one of the things that we did and we wanted to accomplish on Saturday is we wanted to get a rotation in at wide receiver. And so when you look at us, we played 7 different wide receivers, and amongst those 7, 6 of them had a volume of 20 to 33 snaps. So we kept the rotation going as we've done all camp. Obviously, building competition in that room, but also building confidence that each and every one of our guys can go out on the field and help us win a game.
How valuable was a game like that where you get a chance to see, freshman linemen get in for 15, 20 snaps? Lucious Stanley's only been here for like a week, but got in for a bunch. How valuable is that film and the chance to see them play, for you guys?
Huge, because it reinforces everything that we believe in competition. And in fact, let's talk about the Tubes when they got in, because they did a phenomenal job. They did an absolutely phenomenal job. To see guys up front, just executing assignments, opening up holes. We had some of our better runs when some of our backup players got in, and so I think that's a testament to building competition, but also it's a testament to those guys preparing. Taking coaching and understanding that their number may be called, and none of those guys that got in the game ever felt like they weren't going to play. They felt like whatever happened, it could be an injury, it could be a substitution, and they had to prepare themselves all week for their opportunity, and it obviously showed with the success they had. So we were really proud as a coaching staff. We started our meetings off yesterday really highlighting some of those clips that happened later in the game, because if we can build from within and we can continue to push our 2s to prepare as 1s, we'll have a special team.
And what do you think of Thad, frankly? It just seemed like he was very, very difficult to tackle with that.
He was, and Thad, he's got great balance and body control, and Thad did a really good job for us. And obviously we faced a tough situation going into the game with the adversity of being down some backs, but we knew someone was going to have to step up. And our kids, they all believe in themselves. We believe in them as coaches. And it's exciting when you have a young man like that who's kind of waited for his opportunity to get a chance to go out there and really compete at a very high level and showcase what he has the ability to do.
Josh, what's he like? What is that like? I mean, he seemed very patient last year because he had such a high average, per rush all the time, but he didn't get in as much as some people would like.
Yeah, Thad personally is a kid that's he's very quiet. He doesn't say much, always has a smile. But he shows up every day, and there was a point this spring, if you kind of go back then, Thad was our only scholarship running back in the spring at certain points. And so, Thad has really had to kind of take a kind of a workload on his shoulders and really try to, prepare his body, even for the physicality, the strain each and every day in practice. And he's done an exceptional job, just showing up every day, coming to work. And so he's doing everything that we're asking of him. Obviously, we're putting a lot on his shoulders, as well as Henry Parrish, who was a guy that I thought played phenomenal for his first game here at the University of Miami. And so we're going to need a lot more from our backs. Obviously, that was a great start. Coach Smith has done an exceptional job coaching those guys and developing those guys. But we've got the utmost confidence that whoever we hand the ball to, that they'll be able to get the job done.
I also wanted to ask you about Southern Miss. Have you ever in any way faced them, or anything you know about them, and the difference between game and one and two you always hear about?
Yeah, I think the difference between game 1 and game 2 is obviously going to be a little bit more aggressive style defense. I think this is This is a team coming in here with a chip on their shoulder. Obviously, they lost a very tough game this past week in 4 overtimes, and got a ton of talented players on the defensive side. Very aggressive defensive play caller. I think their blitz rate is at about 50%, and so they bring it. So we're going to have some challenges up front. Obviously, blocking movement, being able to ID things and make sure we keep our quarterback clean and protection. And so we're looking forward to it. Obviously, we know each week as we show who we are, people are going to try to defend what we do best, and that's one of the things that you have to be conscious about in college football is also self-scout yourself. Figure out how people are going to try to attack you and try to have the answers for it.
We'll do a few more for Coach
Well, I
Gattis.
just wanted to follow that up with the difference between your guys. Supposedly you make the most improvement team from game 1 to 2. Is that true, or what's that like?
Well, yes, you do, but I think for the maturity of our team, it's focusing on the process of just being 1-0 each week, and so that process for us is going to be how well do we handle success. We had 2 weeks to kind of build ourselves up leading up into the first game. Now you go to a game-by-game routine where you haven't had as many practices on this new opponent. Obviously, the front structure, the back end structure changes a little bit, so our players have got to learn a new defense that they're going against, and we're going to do things differently schematically and stuff. And so just being able to handle success, showing up every day to work and prepare, and letting our results be a direct reflection of our process that we go about every week. And so continue to practice at a high level in order to perform at a high level.
Josh, I just want to ask you about integrating Zion Nelson and Jalen Knight and back in, obviously 2 important guys for you, and how you kind of go about it this week.
I think it's going to be very important that we kind of take a process that's going to allow them to be comfortable with themselves. Obviously we'll never take anyone getting thrust back into a lineup and just throw them out there, for a significant amount of snaps. You saw this past week with Will Mallory. We had a very, very detailed plan on how many snaps we wanted Will to play in and be involved in our offensive system. And so, and that's the best for the kids. We're always going to do what's best for them from a health and safety protocol first. And so, just developing a plan, getting those guys back in practice, getting them back out there as a unit, and just getting them comfortable, believing in themselves, believing in their ability. Our training staff has done a great job, rehabbing those guys, getting them acclimated, and we look forward to having them back part of our offense.
Talk to us about the process to get Lucious Stanley actually ready to take carries that fast.
Yeah, that was an amazing process by Coach Smith and Coach Varner and the guys. They just they met with him all week. Just kind of and Lucious is a very mature guy. Obviously coming in having played in college football before, taking significant snaps. For a lot of people, they don't realize. It's maybe 5 or 6 days out that he's been here. So he had a lot to learn to be able to go in the game and execute signals, formations, run schemes, what we're asking him to do. And that's credit to Lucious himself. Very, very mature approach last week. I don't think there was a time that I wasn't walking the halls in the office and I didn't see him in there meeting with Coach Smith. And so he knew how important it was. Obviously, football is very important to him, and we're glad to have him part of our program.
Coach, you mixed in some power and some zone on Saturday. How important is it for you to be diverse within your run blocking schemes?
Absolutely, it's very important. We want to have great diversity in everything that we do, and diversity in who touches the ball. Balance is what makes us unique as an offense, because we have run-pass balance, we have different pass schemes balance, we have different run scheme balances. And when you have the ability to have that type of diversity in what you do, it makes it very hard to defend, because people have to defend everything rather than trying to just stop one thing. And so, but what allows you to be able to have that diversity is your players. It's basically doing what your players allow you to do, what they can handle, and what they do best. And we've built our system here to allow to feature our players at what they do best.
We'll do one more question for Coach Gattis.
Coach, can you just talk about coaching from the box and also managing, coaching the receivers on the field and kind of what you saw there on Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I talk about the process of preparation and how you practice, I actually fell into a rhythm on Saturday that has never happened to me in the box before. I was actually signaling the personnel like I do in practice. I kept putting my hand up, and then I had to realize that I'm not on the field anymore. I'm in the box, and so that was realization. And I told that to our players, because that's just your mind is reflecting back to whatever process you go through each and every week. But when I'm in the booth, it allows me to gain an advantage by seeing things. I'm able to see what an opponent is trying to do to us offensively. Schematically, I can understand how that defensive coordinator is trying to attack us. but it also allows me to be able to collect my thoughts and kind of remove emotion from decision making, which I think is so valuable. I've been fortunate enough to call the games from the field as well from the box, and it's a totally different view when you're upstairs. I mean, just the peace and calmness that you have to think and make wise decisions. Our receivers were obviously managed by a group of individuals on the field, and Coach Crutchfield, our graduate assistant, who's been right-hand man to me for a number of years, who I've had the chance to work with at previous institutions. He was help managing our receivers as well as some of our analysts on the sideline, obviously just being there to be involved. Coach Cooney, Coach Thompson, just being there for those guys. You know, being a resource for those guys to instill confidence, and that was the biggest thing for us. It's not necessarily the X's and O's of the technical things. It's when someone leaves the field, man, give that guy a high five. When they do something great, reinforce that they did something positive. That way we can build that confidence up on the sideline and have those guys go out the next series and be very, very confident.
Obviously, scoring 70 points, no punts, rushing game was very efficient as well as the receivers. How do you find motivation for this next game, and how do you really motivate the players to really continue to improve for week 2?
Well, believe it or not, we left a lot of meat on the bone. You know, and we started our unit meeting off yesterday watching those plays that we felt like could have been better. The difference between an 8-yard gain and a 25 or a potential touchdown. So there's still a ton of room to grow. Technique, fundamentals, footwork, hack placement, finishing, intent of plays. And so we've got to show up hungry and eager, more eager to learn this week. And that's going to be the challenge, handling that success, but still keeping ourselves in a humble mindset that we're going to be a direct reflection of our process. And so if we focus on the process of winning each week, the results will come with it.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach Gattis.
Thank you guys. Take care.
Thank you.